So, if you haven't been under a rock for the last couple of days with Cracker Barrel changing their logo and causing quite the uproar, their stock price took a good bit of a dive, but in the grand scheme, is it all that bad? We're going to have a look at the company and its dividends. So, let's get right into it. Ticker symbol CBRL, Cracker Barrel Old Country Store Incorporated. As of today, it's up 5%. We'll look at the 5 days, and can you tell when they did their rebrand with their logo? Boom, and it's gone. You want to see what it looks like? This was the original to the left, and this is the new one. I get the minimalistic. A lot of companies have changed over to this kind of style. I'm surprised they didn't at least keep the brown color for the logo. It's still somewhat brown, but still, the old look at it. It's got charm, guy leaning in a barrel. It's a wee quirky restaurant. Now, I've actually never been to one, being over in the UK. I don't believe there's any. It seems to be a primarily US-based company. And inside just looks... It looks class. I won't lie. It looks great. I would love to see what it'd be like to dine in one of these. Maybe see if there's one in Vegas when I'm over later in the year. So they've also redesigned the inside of the restaurant, and that kicked up a whole firestorm. I mean, the media stories of this, Cracker Barrel stock jumps, Trump shares his thoughts on the logo, saying to go back, the Cracker Barrel responds after logo rebrand backlash. A lot of people say it's soulless, it's just awful, and nobody seems to like it. You wonder that they would spend so much on maybe focus groups to understand that this might have been a really bad idea, but that's not really their main problem. That's just, you know, a bit of the problem. The whole pie being their earnings have collapsed to a third of what they were about 2 years ago, and their dividend has also collapsed. It's sitting at a 1.76% yield, 1.8%, and at the moment it pays out 25 cents for one share. Now, it's forecasted to maintain, but we don't know until the 11th of September. So let's have a little look. Who are they exactly? An American chain of restaurant and gift stores. Ah, yes. So they combine a little bit of dining and a little bit of gifting. I've seen a list of things that they seem to sell, like rocking chairs and all. It is a wee bit wild. Headquartered in Lebanon, Tennessee, where it was founded by Dan Evans and Tommy Lowe. Under any relation to Lowe's? Not sure about that. Anyway, in 1969. So they employ about 77,000 people, and revenue, well, as far as 2022 was 3.2 billion. That's pretty modest, not bad. Now, let's bring it out. I showed you 5 days. It does look far worse than it is, because if you bring it out to 6 months, you go, oh, that was the wee blip there. I mean, they were sitting at nearly $71, and now they're at about 56. Bring it out a year, you can see that, well, about April last year, they were about $35 a share, which, yeah, not great. Bring it out 5 years, you can see that even since the pandemic, it just seems to be a slow decline for them. So obviously something needed to be done. I don't know if this rebrand was the best way to go about it, but hey, you know, some of these people are making way more than me, but it looks like people just did not like that rebrand at all. So we're over Simply Wall Street. Love using this little tool here. Now, let me just jump straight down here to the forecast, because when you're looking here, you might go, oh, the revenue seems to be going up. Seems to be forecasted to maintain. Now, let me take the revenue away and show you the earnings. Yeah. Yep. That just... Do you need a better picture? So 131 million in earnings back in July of 2022, and it was, well, as low as 35 million back in January there. May was slightly better, bit of an improvement. It is forecasted to slightly improve, but again, you can see why the rebrand has come in. They need to solve some problem, otherwise it's not going to go too well for them. Down to the financial health, they sit at about 104% debt to equity ratio. Nothing crazy. They have a lot of assets, obviously sitting on property and whatnot. Now, what I do want to have a look at, of course, is their dividend. It scores a 3 out of 6, so fails on, well, it's not a top paying dividend. I mean, sitting at 1.84%, there's many, you can get a savings account in a bank that would tend to, outpace that per year. But again, people don't tend to go into dividend investing with that idea. It's a much longer term goal. Of course, this video is not financial advice. Please do your own research. Going back to it, we can see that they were actually sitting with a 7.8% yield back in April of last year. So, if you did get in at $35, you would have been thinking you were sitting pretty until the dividend goes from $1.3 per share down to 25 cents. It is maintained, and it'll be, it's yet to be seen as to the forecast. Forecast ain't looking great. It's not fantastic. You can see the industry average, companies slightly higher than that. In fact, if you go down to their valuation here, I think something's happened on Simply Wall Street, because it's saying its fair value's 13 cents. So I'm not too sure about that. We'll be going over to Alpha Spread afterwards to see hopefully a slightly more accurate one. Pay ratio at 20.9. Now let's look at their peers. BJ's Restaurants, Papa John's. They sit roughly in the middle for a lot of their peers. Going on down, industry average, again, slightly lower, being in the hospitality industry. So nothing major jumping out on any of that. One thing I always love to look at, and you know how much I like to have a little look-see, ownership. Doesn't look like anyone jumped out. Maybe Bulgari Capital got a wee headwind of the rebrand coming. Probably not. They sold back in June and May. Quite a large position. Total, whoa, almost what, 30, 40, 50 million? Huh. There you go. Ownership breakdown, 88% belongs to institutions. Hedge funds make up 10%. Individual investors, 1.2. I wonder who the 10,000 shares are for state or government. And look, we've got the usual suspects. BlackRock sitting at 14%. We have Vanguard at 11%. And State Street, I'm sure, is... Yep, there they are. So combined between them, they own, what, like 28, 29%? GMT and Alliance Bernstein. Haven't seen them all that much as I've looked through. Does it say about the government? No. We don't know who exactly this might be referring to. It could just be maybe a wee state government or something owns it. Maybe Tennessee or something. Let's have a little look at intrinsic value. If you don't know what it is, we'll give you a wee refresher, because I love this graphic so much. So, stock intrinsic value is the real worth of a company's stock based on financial health and performance, instead of looking at the current price, which can change due to opinions and emotions. Emotions, obviously, they rebranded it and just boom, down, what, $5-6 a share? And now it's recovered like 5-6% today. So, if anyone bought in the middle of that panic, they probably made out like a bit of a bandit. Not that 5% could be life-changing, but in a big enough amount, well, I'm sure there's some people whose job is just to panic buy. I guess that could be a strategy for some. Now, we can have a little look here. Intrinsic value helps us understand if a stock is truly a good deal or not by focusing on the company's actual financial strength, like earnings and debts. We can make better decisions about which stocks to buy and when. So you can see it takes in the debt, free cash flow, revenue, investments, cash, and it says that it's about $95. So it's only 41% undervalued. Worst case, it's still undervalued. And best case, it's very, very undervalued. Now, again, these are just varying models. They don't necessarily mean, for example, and I've always said this, you may never see the stock price ever get to $95. In fact, has it ever? But what's the highest it's been at? All-time high? All-time high, actually, before the pandemic was $155. I eat my words there. What did that say the best case was? 126. So it beat its best case. But then again, this is also calculated with the metrics and financials I'd imagine we have now, as opposed to what we had back in 2017, 2018. In fact, the lowest, it looks like, was 2008. You could have picked it up for like $11 a share. Wow, if only someone had a time machine. So I tell you what, in terms of time passing since the the plunge of the pandemic, it's scary that I hit the 5-year chart and I don't even see that we drop. Like it's pre 5 years. Mad to think. Anyway, apart from just continuing to get old, let's go over to Dividend Max. We'll drop in 100 shares. Now, 100 shares would be $5,600? $5,714 if you're going by the current price today. That would get you a payment of around $25. You can see its ex-dividend date, the date in which you need to own the share if you're going to get it paid. You do not want to own... I think you've actually got to get it, the share. Ideally, you'd want it on the 16th, just in case. But the 17th is the date you need it in order to qualify for the payment, which will be paid in November. So, declaration date, say 11th of September. It'll be interesting to see. It's forecasted to maintain at 25 cents. Now, given all this going on, will they still have the same logo? I don't think they'll backtrack on it. I mean, heavy pressure is being applied, but, with the way society goes these days, things can be a bit of a flash in the pan. I imagine they probably will maintain the rebrand, but you never know. It'll be an interesting topic if they do indeed revert back to this here. I like the old logo. I mean, out of all this, the main problem I have is why they didn't just keep the brown. I think that could have, for all we know, avoided half this problems if they had just kept that brown there and put it here. Could you imagine that? Could have saved the whole thing. Someone could have turned around and told them, listen, think the darker brown ain't working. Keep the original, the OG brown, and we're all good there. They've also been paying a dividend for, I believe, 38 years. So, the consistency's there. They definitely are scoring well on the consistency. Let's see, the last metric I would actually like to see. Earnings payout to shareholders is 38%, which is decent enough. And then cash payout is 89%, right. It's still alright, but, it's not a lot of cash flow retained, that's for sure. So there's probably a lot of other companies. Market cap's currently 1.2 billion. I also do not have 220 or 212,000 in a portfolio of this. Not shilling for Cracker Barrel. That's some demo account it's set up. Apparently that's what's in it in terms of Cracker Barrel. Who would have guessed? So yeah, the dividend record is a bit unstable as of late because they've dropped the growth rate in dividends. Not one that would be joining my personal portfolio, which I've been reorganizing as of late. So the next company is going to be Royal Caribbean Cruises. My mother loves this company, so as she wanted it to be the next one to do, so I'm going to oblige. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all over on the next one.